Did I miss something? Actually, did he say that? I think it was the Buddha asked him first, right, or whatever. So that he did meet 6 teachers first, right?
Yeah, he asked him like, you had this like worries, and what have you heard before? And then he mentioned he met the
6 teachers, and what he finds is satisfying. So the first teacher is called Purana Kassapa, right? And then the second is Makkhali Gosala. Anyway, those are the big topic later on. Ajita Kesa Kambala, and then the Bhakuda Gachayana, and another one is called the Nikandanada Buddha. The 5th one, the 6th one is Sanjaya Belata Buddha. Okay. Unfortunately, those schools have been died up. Some of the schools been died up, but some still remain. So, but he have a question to ask them, and then looks like at least the king Ajatasattu was not satisfied with the answer. Looks like that he was asking something, but he answered them in a different thing, almost like not direct answer to his questions. So anyway, that was. But if you study Indian what you call religion, so certainly those sources are very important, because now Indian has lots of sources gone. One reason I can say openly actually is been because of the Muslim occupation also. So all the texts were burned. But anyway, so nowadays, even if you study Indian religion, so a lot of Buddhist texts are very important for them. It's because they still have some record about what they say, you know. But so that's one reason why some people who study the Indian philosophy, that mean that the Indian philosophy mean related to the Indian religion. So, and then they definitely have to read some of the Buddhism record, because Buddhism have still remain a lot of teaching here. So that's why I cut it off all this. If you are interested, you can go back and read. It's very complicated. I mean, you will really want to look in the detail, so that every teachers have a different opinions on what maybe a matter is about, what the soul is about, what the spirituality mean to them, you know. So anyway, so we skip that, and so that's clearly show one thing, that the Buddha actually, I mean, the text been arranged in a way that to say that he had met different teachers. Now he wanted to see how the Buddha think, what is basically what is the meaning of being among a recluse or spirituality is about, you know. So. Okay, the third question he was asking is that, so the second question was asking the same thing, like, you know, what is the benefit to be a recluse, right? So, and what's the answer?
He asked another question.
It's another question. Yeah. So
same question.
Yeah, but what's the answer?
It's already visible to him, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. And then the third question he was posing to the Buddha, what was the question? Actually, that's how we begin to our subject now.
Like, what's more?
Wants to know more about the recluse life, the benefits.
Mm-hmm. Basically, there's a term there. It's there's a term there. I mean, Ditthidhamma is the term is there in the present. What actually is really, you know, that I think. Okay. So, and what did the answer say? What the Buddha say?
He just say, well, listen to me. I'll not speak.
Well, so that's why you can say that. You can see everybody relate the story very differently. Okay, sunohi sadugan manasikaroti apasisami. Okay, so basically he would say, yeah, I will listen. So, but of course, first he would say it's very rare that the Buddha was appear. You know, and you know, the Tathagata upajjati. You know, it's very rare that the Buddha will arise in this world. Okay, in the world, or you could say appear in the world. Okay, So, and I mean, this is certainly is a kind of a culture at that time that you need to assure that, you know, first you need to introduce who you are. So, and as a Buddha, what kind of Buddha what is the quality of the Buddha? So, for example, he's the Arahant, Sammasambuddho, like that. You know, he's the. Maybe you don't understand all, but at least just like, you know, you could say, you see, let's say, for example, nowadays you could say, oh, I'm the one that enlightened. I'm the one that so is the I can tame every the what we call the Satta Deva Manusanam. Means Satta Deva Manusanam. Mean that I can tame the human being and also the divine beings and so forth like that. It's a Indian culture. Okay, the way that express that. Who the person is, okay? So you say actually this Buddha will arise in the world is very rare, and then the Buddha has such a qualification, okay? And just like, as I say nowadays, you could say, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I'm a driver, I'm a what, then that people know what you somehow roughly know what you're doing, right? So what kind of thing you know. Anyway, then later on, he just said that then there are people who are actually listen to, then he would say, and this is something very important here, those are become a very, everywhere you could see that it's become a standard formula, saying that he teach the people in to everybody, okay, from, it's good from the beginning, it's good from the middle, and it's good from the end, okay. And then it's well versed and well explained. Okay. Somehow like, you know, he just want to tell that, you know, it's not like, you know, there are certain traditions telling you, for example, I'm not here to say what, but there are maybe people claiming to you, know, when the people say, you know, I want to ask you a question. You don't want to say in the beginning to the end, to the middle and to the end. But you know why I want to say that? Because even in India, they have this kind of approach, attitude. Like, in order to let people understand what you're teaching, I'm saying in general, okay? We are not saying that special case. Certain people, you don't need to answer them. That's clear. But I just say that in general, so it's a certain Indian, like the master called guru, okay? If you approach them, so maybe at the end you can have a way to discuss with them, and you ask, you know, how do you deliver your teachings? No delivering, only mind to mind, for example. You know, they can give a very different kind of question. But here it's very clear to give you, the Buddha say, no, it's the way that actually, the wonderful of the Buddha is that someone who actually could deliver the teaching beautiful from the beginning, beautiful from the middle and the end, also well versed in the languages like that. So that's a very different approach. Do not ignore this kind of small sentence. So that actually show you a little attitude what the Buddhism is mostly, okay, right? So then, and then of course, and then the people, if they listen to this kind of wonderful teaching and understand what is the goodness of becoming recluses, that they could purify themselves and they can have a better life, and then they would just live their household life. You know, he has to tell the king like that. But as I say, you must understand in the whole background. So it's very different. Okay, the whole background, everybody think to be a Brahma, a Brahmin is okay. But here he was just, you know, talking that, saying that. So and then they become living their household life and living their family business, basically, or with the relatives' burdens and so forth, and they become recluses, you know, and they cut off their hair and so forth. They become agarisma anagariyang papajayang, and then they live a household life without a house or okay. What else he say? At the time, he would what? Maybe I think it's best if I have 你们有那个 version 吗？有。你是电话吗？你借给我吧。 then it'll be quicker. I don't want to say, I think it looks like everybody feel very boring. So I need to jump it. Because I will feel bored in you because I I just want to make sure it's there. Okay. What kind of sound is that?
I don't know what.
My investigation. No, it's really not.
Why? I don't know how to read this one even. Okay, basically we say that when they have become a monk and he will bow to them. So, yeah, I think it should be the third one.
I think we just got here.
Okay, now this one I want to say. So, and then when he abandoned his mass of wealth, either he had a lot of money or less money, so he leave his circles of relative, either the relative is a big relative or small relative, big circle relative or small circle relative. He shave off his hair and beard, put on the robes and go forth from household life into without a household life, because homeless, in America is a different term, so we don't use the homeless here. So when he just like this gone forth, he leave, this is what I want to say, the important point here. He leave restrained by the rules. Actually, you could say that he been trained under the rule. He based on the training rules, and then he do his training. Okay, so that's what. Did he use the word patimokkha? Yeah, I put it there. That's why I would particularly put the Pali, because I think there's some translation is not there, and so. Okay, I will just read this one.
Higher. Chapter 3. Go back. Okay. So the third question. Is restraint to the rule and modesty will be in danger of his training. Yep. And now we're talking about if this patimokkha.
No, did he use the word patimokkha?
Yeah. You say so.
Because I still couldn't find the Pali in this book.
Patimokkha Samba. Can I read?
Anyone know what's patimokkha?
Vinaya, the rules for the Vinaya.
Okay. The rules for the Vinaya, okay. All right, it's okay. I couldn't find it in here, but so and he would just and then no, it's about the Pali here. I'm looking for the Pali word, but I know that because I don't have the note with me now. So. Yeah, I think it's maybe best just give it to me, I guess. Yeah. Now you can read this one. Otherwise, because I prepared that, easy for me, right? So it's easy for me to read this one. So.
What page are you on?
No, I'm looking for the Pali because this is a Pali one, but I still couldn't find it, and maybe, I don't have time to look all these kind of things suddenly. So, all right. So, and seeing the danger in the slightest fault, this is very important. So, and I always tell people this is really important. A lot of people don't know that. So in Pali it's anumatesu, vachesu, bhaya dasavi, you know. So vachesu is mean you understand. So and in understanding of what anumatesu, in understanding a slight fault, and he was just, you know, could see that they start to fear. Okay, what does it mean? I always say that this is if people do not have this kind of moral sense, it's very difficult to practice. Yeah. For example, you know, like maybe, you know, in a general life, nobody taught you that it's important. For example, you want to take advantage of other persons, for example, right? And then maybe it's very hard to see that. But in case you do see it, like, you know, you have a proud. Maybe you think that in society we say, you should be proud. But in that, this is mean then you see the proud is not good. It's a mana, you know, in Buddhism mean the pride, the conceit is there. So, and then, you know, maybe it doesn't sound big deal for any other people, but, you know, no, that is really can make a big deal. Or maybe say that you saw another person, you feel a little slight, not happy. You think, so what? I didn't swear to that person. It's just only in my mind, for example. But you see it's there. But you get the fear because that almost like, always we have a simile, almost like, you know, like how you start to have like a glass, you start to have a little dot, right? And then you think, oh, this is a little dot. But, you know, when the wind comes along, long time, and the dot becomes bigger, and then maybe the whole glass will break, you know, like that. So this is what, this term is always there. And then when you learn Buddhism later on, either you learn, just now we mentioned, also Visuddhimagga or any other thing, they always mention this. Even when you read the sutra like the Kalaniyametta Sutta or Mangala Sutta, that very popular Jixiang Jin and Sivei Jin, that very popular for the Pali to translate, they also have mentioned this term too. That means it's really important for anyone. If they cannot recognize this a small thing, even might be, it's not really insignificant to a lot of people, but actually it's significant to the wise person, right? That's why I want to put this term here. So ametesu vachesu bhaya dasavi. I mean, just give me finish that first. I mean, so this having seeing danger in the slightest fault, okay, and then having accepted in this training. So this is my translation, okay, but because I do put the original translation there on the note too, but you can read it later. So I translate very roughly also. I'm not happy with my translation, but I just studied in before the class few minutes. So anyway, having accepted in his training, because according to Pali, I just read it. I mean, I think it makes more sense. So this means the training, including what he was, the training that he was at first saying, that including what the training means he knows the fear of the slightest fault, right? So, and then he will, what happened, and he fulfilled the wholesome action of bodily and verbally. So here they mention about mental, okay, according to Pali. So at least he fulfilled his wholesome action in the physically and the verbally. You know what I mean? Mean at least, you know, his action, his body action is not bad, and then also his verbal action is not bad. You know, fulfilling that, what happening after fulfilling those things? So, and he observed this virtue, you know. So, observing the virtue with pure livelihood, okay. Observing the virtue with pure livelihood, he guards the doors of his senses, is possessed. Actually, I'll put by, because, but in English maybe you could just simply say is possessed of mindfulness and clear comprehension. But if you look at the Pali, it means he have these things. True, why he have these things? Because it's true to mindfulness and clear comprehension. Okay, and he also is content, santuti, those things. Okay. So if you look at this is one of the very simple structure, but those are the virtue part. When you say a virtue, okay. So, and this virtue including all these kind of things, okay. Having the precepts, and so, I mean, you know, you have a guidance, what kind of thing you should do, I mean the precepts. And also, then you also look at the slightest fault also. You should fear the slightest fault that comes to you. And then undertaking this kind of training, including mean that the process and this kind of training. So he actually, what to call? He sit the foot on the training. Okay, that kind of based on these two things, mean the rules and then the slightest fault. Okay, and this is how he become good at his action and bodily verbal action, his bodily action and the verbal action, you could say. And by observing this, you know, observing here means you can take care of this or doing this again and again. So that's how the pure life is there. Okay. Actually, the word is mean the life become pure. You could say. You could understand it that way. So life become pure. So and then again, I mean, this is of course is the same thing that going on. That he got his senses. I mean, this is a big topic also. He got his senses. Mean, even though you are good, but you still must know what you should see, what you should hear, what you should smell, right? People, sometimes they're good, they don't know. They want to know other people's business so much. They want to see other people's business, for example. And I don't mean just a business, kind of like you must guard your senses, you know. And this is close to meditation already, you could say. Especially if you do Vipassana in traditional, they train you a lot about that, you know. But this is actually still belong to the virtual. According, if you want to really categorize it, so this is still is a virtual part, virtual. So, and this is actually through what he have this kind of have this kind of quality. It's through the mindfulness and the clear comprehension. Please remember this term is very, very important. Must be based on the mindfulness and the clear comprehension, called sati sampajanya. Okay, and then and also of course is also content. So here the content you can simply understand. There are lots of explanation also. I mean, for the general mean, let's say if you go, you don't say, okay, this is too hot for me, or this is too cold for me. This chair is not so comfortable for me like that. So you must have this kind of mentality. There are people who practice are horrible. They can practice very well only at their home, on their own place. When the other place, they always, this is not good, that is not good, this is a problem, that is a problem. So, but they don't see dukkha anyway. So we must so far understand this is a virtual part. Okay, I mean, she want to ask a question. What do you want to say? Yeah.
So actually two questions. One is, when we say guard the senses from like Vipassana, my understanding of guarding the senses, I could be totally wrong, was not about like not seeing things or hearing things, but like be aware of how the things you're seeing is like.
Well, thank you. You do how to say 抓我的语病.
Sorry.
Chinese, I don't know in English how to say that. No, it's also not seeing is also one part of it. For example, like when something that stir up your sexuality, stir up your anger, of course you don't want to see. But in the other subtle sense, yes, you're right also, like in Vipassana, that you just guard your sense. That's why I say even the guard of sense is really a big topic. You know, the content is very big too. Let's say the guardian of six senses, in different sutta, even in different places, sometimes have a little, I want to say, you could say have a little different content, but they apply the same principle there, you know. So, yeah.
I guess if you avoid things that's going to make you angry.
Avoidance is also one of the guardian sense. Mm-hmm. I don't mean they are only one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you avoid it because you're not ready to deal with it yet? Like eventually, like you should be able to see.
Yeah, if you are practice so good, everything become only to you. It's just only nama rupa, only just mind and matter. Of course, you don't need to avoid that because your mind would not. Because your mind is not hold on the object as the person. You hold on the only the nama rupa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't see the person as your perception. No, person you see the reality of mind and matter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And second question is, when we say we should have fear in the slightest faults, like.
Yeah, the word is very interesting. Use fear. They are not using the other term. Bhaya is really sometimes the fear term used as like when you saw the ghost, your fear of people killing you. Same term. It's really like quite a huge impact kind of word. bhaya is a big word, yes.
I thought fear is an unwholesome feeling that, like, we can, like, do something about it through, like, loving kindness or whatever.
I mean, I cannot answer you that question, but that's a very good question. I should remember if I can. So, because as far as I remember, I mean, when we say unwholesome, for example, when we define the word unwholesome in Abhidhamma, for example, I don't remember we use the word bhaya. No. Always say that is unwholesome. We don't have that definition. But of course, fear is a lot of things you could say is unwholesome. But I don't know why Abhidhamma didn't include that word fear in the unwholesome Dhamma.
But it's also because of the consequences. I mean, not necessarily like the fear in the negative, but because one is grounded on what is wholesome, one is grounded on what is good. So it's like a lamp. We have this steadiness of what is wholesome in life, and just be guided with that. So so the fear is more like a reverence, because you're right, there's different definitions. But in this particular case, I think the implication is more like a reverence and the inclination to, like, have this inclination to go into the wholesomeness, into the wholesome path. And not necessarily like fear, like, I can't do this, you know, because that can have a negative impact, but more like equanimous, an equanimous.
No, it's not equanimous.
No, it's not equanimous,
yeah.
but it's not like a fear, like it's terrifying, but just to have this.
Sorry, I guess, that leads to, like, my actual question of fear, which is, like, how should we deal, like, how? No,
for example,
perceive it, or how should we deal with it?
No. Here is no. I'm not giving you that answer. This is another. If you read another sutra, we explain that. Otherwise, we take too much time on other things. No. If you're reading other sutra, they might explain this kind of thing. I don't want to explain that. I just want to tell you this is part of virtue. So the fear here is always referred to just because you knew that something that is wrong. Okay. And then you must, as I say, this is not, even it's interesting, I did say the word, he could use other term accordingly, but it's very clear he used a term is really like a big thing. Bhaya is a big term, meaning that you really fear. Actually, in some other context, if you read other sutra, so sometimes when the people look at other people die, suddenly he got the fear that he was so trembled that he might be facing that one day. And then even that so tremble that his hair, there's a Pali term saying that his hair stands up even. But that term usually used as, we never say there's a negative way, but it just used as a kind of like horror. He feels really horror about that, you know. I think this is not our discussion now, but I'm sure if we want to write this paper about the fear, I'm not joking. You can simply write this, even at least for your master thesis. Simply, you can get it, because this is a big subject. Also, even in Buddhism, the fear have it's the same term used in the Pali, or even in Sanskrit or whatever, but in a different context. You know, we don't want to just caught up with that, okay? But it's just to tell you that people, if it's just take this almost like a literature that you know, you have a little imagination, even you don't have the experience. I'm sure you have. I always presume you don't. And not that I'm not here to say you don't. Okay, just to say you must have a little imagination when you read something first. That, like, you know, when you just fear that, oh, you know, have you ever done anything wrong when you're a little kid, and you just fear that you know that you don't want to do that again, right?
Yeah, but it's always driven by some other, like.
But that kind of fear,
You're
not necessarily. Or
like, I don't want people to, like, not like me by doing this, or, you know, like other things.
No, those are completed issue already, and we are not discussed that. You are not studying Abhidhamma. As I just say that even Abhidhamma interesting. They have categorized so many things, but the fear is never been categorized as an unwholesome or even wholesome. No, I guess it's mean Abhidhamma also aware they have still can be left out without big discussion there. Okay. It's just like a literature, just thinking like, you know, you just know that. Like one day you were so angry to slap, you know, like I remember you were angry with beat my sister, for example, you know. And then I was so feared the whole day that if my sister going to tell my father, I beat her, when one little kid, of course, like that, like that. And you definitely knew that. That caused you know that I shouldn't do that anymore, because that really make, like this, okay? So he want to say that small thing, if you could become that, of course, your morality definitely become very good. You weren't just having okay.
I think that's a good fear, because the fear is more intense about damaging your path.
No, but
like taking you away from the path. To me, that's the greater fear.
No, of course. I mean, we are not here to discuss it's good or not, but here is certainly is clear it's good. I just want to say, just have a little imagination. Think that that kind of feeling, right? Maybe you lie to a person, like you think is usually you think it's fine, but now you start to fear. I mean, I want to mention this again and again, is because actually, especially when you go into practice meditation in a deeper sense, this is a really important part. And this is actually, a lot of people cannot cope with this part. Because they thought, I do meditation is the better, I'm so happy. But now the more that I do meditation, sometimes, I've got not in the beginning time, you really nice and what, but at the same time, you start to see a lot of things that in you, that you start to get fear. And then that's why the people give up. They don't want to do this kind of thing. That's because they don't recognize. That's why I'm saying here. That's why we spend a lot of more than 20 minutes to discuss that. Okay, let's leave it. I want to say this is because I definitely know a lot of people forget this passage. Okay, I want to say that. Okay. All right. Okay. Why don't we just jump, and then we need to finish the sutta today. Yeah, and then I think so. We are not going to discuss the detail, but it's just a question becomes so detailed now. So and then he remember that he can possess of this kind of goodness or the livelihood. Actually, or you could say it's because he have the fully good possession or have the endowed with good thing through the mindfulness and the clear comprehension. Okay, do remember this also. But you may be asked, to what? Some people say, to the faith to the Buddha. Here, didn't say that. Okay? He didn't use the word. The Buddha didn't say, it's because through me, Or if in this Christian, we say, it's through or baby Jesus or what. But here, no, it's through the mindfulness and clear comprehension. Please remember this also. And it's also is content. Okay. Then you are really have a very good ground understanding what is mean morality. Remember, when your examination, if you can answer that, the teacher was so pleased. Wow, what a wonderful student. Everybody think about virtue, mean precept. No, not only that. Okay, so okay. Now we just back, and then he started to say the less and all this kind of virtue. That means what are they? The 10 wholesome actions, 13业道. Okay, if people don't know, you go back and read that. And then the other thing is about the second kind of the virtue is that they will start to basically they don't be not fall into like gluttony and so forth, and living in always want a luxury life all the time like this. Okay, and the third one, the Greek virtue, it's So now, first thing is about the 10 actions, 10 wholesome actions. And the second virtue is about the intermediate section of virtue. I mean, the second is about this having not always thinking about luxury food and so forth, or having a good kind of comfort thing, all the time. I must have this, I must have that, like this, including mean food, use the thing that you use, the place you lie on, and so forth like that. Okay, I don't have to mention. You can go back and read. And then the third one is about this. Basically, it's more like what they call craftsman, or you could say science in those days. Now they call science. You do the horoscope, doing this kind of thing. It becomes more like a science, I mean, yeah, no, not only technician, the science, you read people mind,
Fortune teller?
Yeah, fortune teller, reading Mars here, reading the limbs, reading the omens, reading whether he's a fortunate or not fortunate, whether this is a good feng shui or not good feng shui, and then also talk about this gem is protective to you, the sword, put it in the house is very nice, and this bow I put this direction. In Indian, you think Chinese is very serious about that? Tell me. No, Indian is worse, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very, very different, okay. And then...
South American is worse.
okay.
South America, my village.
All right, and then also reading the stars, you know, and then predicting, you know, the word and so forth. I mean, okay, you go back and read. This is kind of more like a science, okay. This is require a lot of study, the science, right? It's not like just eating or sleeping or material you use, but this is require a lot of study that you get that kind of skill, right? That's why they call science right there. You know, in old ancient word, science doesn't mean nowadays would mean the science, okay? That means requires study. It's something that you need to study, so become a livelihood. So that's wrong. That means that the third one, okay? So, and in other words, I mean this is not something that you really get easily, you know. But once you have that, you also should understand. All right, and then the Buddha actually started to say, then the recluse, what they do, must have the sensory strength we just mentioned, and they must have the mindfulness and then a clear comprehension. You could just simply say the comprehension, and they have the contentness. And after that, all these things, when they have fulfilling these kind of steps, and they also have to abandon the hindrances. There are 5 hindrances, 就是五戒, okay? You know, the first hindrances mean nowadays even in our life. Look at your whole life. Even I don't want to talk about myself now. So, but I mean in general in the whole life, like a day. So these 5 hindrances is always with you. This is purely like a mental part of thing. So that you have the hindrances of the lust, or the even get a comfort from the senses, 5 senses. What we call the 5 core senses, right? 就五欲, and then the hindrances of what? Hindrances of the hatred, anger. The hindrances of the sleepiness and drowsiness, or sleep too much or drowsy. And then the 4th hindrances, the hindrances of the agitation, and then you could say think too much or other. Usually they translate regret, but the word also can understand mean actually you're acting upon your thought. It kind of like people thinking too much, right? When you saw a person go by, you say, is he a thief? Maybe you just, okay, he might be a thief, maybe
like
not.
Restlessness.
It had to do with the rational, but actually no, it's it define mean with what restlessness. Usually, when your mind have agitation, usually it's not a big fault. The big fault is you think too much upon what you're thinking. So that's the second one. And then the last one is the doubt. Okay, that's the 5 hindrances. And then that's what actually, don't forget, the Buddha was addressed to the king Ajatasattu. So after he was going to tell what the recluse is doing. He's not doing those things. Do not think that they are doing those things. They are supposed to do this kind of thing. And then when they know these 5 hindrances, now even nowadays, imagine, even nowadays, a lot of people do not understand the concept of 5 hindrances. Imagine that if the king, he met other religious people telling them a different thing, maybe their faith, whatever, but here telling in a very different way. So what the king will impress, what, 5 hindrances? Okay. And then further, with the 5 hindrances, and then the Buddhas relate the 4 jhanas. So people have the meditation power, they can enter the 1st jhana and the 2nd jhana and the 3rd jhana and 4th jhana. You don't have to understand everything at the moment. So once they have this 4 jhana, and then of course that's important is that when they have jhana, what kind of mind they have, Anyway, basically he wanted to say that there were 4 kind of purely mental kind of thing that give them the kind of 4 kind of satisfaction, you could say. And this satisfaction is a kind of, he didn't mention here, but I will just follow here, so say, basically I mean this kind of thing give you really sublime, really divine, really powerful, wonderful, right? That you need to recognize that they have this powerful. And when their mind is become concentrated based on that kind of powerful one they have, and they can be easily, actually, here they say it very clearly, then they are, because why it is so good? Because they are pure, they are bright, they have no stand, they are free from defect, they are also adaptable, pliant, they are also, here translated malleable, you could say, you could actually change it. In other words, I use the term usually means soft. If you have a jhana, you actually can turn your mind much easier, softly. So with that, so he can direct this kind of concentration and to establish the vipassana. So this is why he say the inside knowledge. Here he translates inside knowledge, vipassana jnana. So that's he direct this. And this is then he discern, this is my body with the form and so forth. I'm not going to describe that. It means now then you could just completely observe your whole body, your mind, like we just mentioned, the vipassana. And then, because don't forget, so down the king, wow, after that, what happened? And then he say, even after when he do that, so there's a very rich content here, okay? I don't have to read that, but I want to say the few important things. The sixth one is that after he did that, and then he could make the mind make body. This is a really big thing, okay? Difficult thing, actually. So he saying that when he have this kind of jhana and he have this kind of discern power, meaning you can vipassana power or insight power, the power inside, so he could actually take his body out from this body. So just like, a kind of weed, right? When you play that kind of weed, and then you can take out like a similar weed and you throw the skin you don't. It looks similar. Maybe the size just a little different, but it looks similar. You know that when you're a kid, you would. I forgot here. I think they use the same simile, something like that. So he is able to do that. So he could separate his body, and then another body can appear as a mind-made body. Okay, the body is made from the mind, so that's why it's called mind-made body. So, but of course nowadays we think that this is really tough supernatural power. But anyway, I guess you could explain that because the Buddha wanted to impress him. Okay, yeah.
I don't think so.
No. I mean, it's not. You could say many things, but he said this. I think it's more like impression. But of course, it's true. But it just you could say other things, but like that, And then he will talk about the supernatural power. Then they also have performed this called iti. So you could understand the supernatural power. And there are so many different kinds of supernatural power as a recluses. And then they also have the supernatural power as a clear audiences, mean the divine eye. You can understand that. And then once you have a divine eye, it's not very difficult actually to have this called a mind reading. And then once you have the mind reading, then you can easily recollect your past life. And then once you can able to do the recollect with your past life, then you can recollect the other people's past life as well. So, because of course that is a combination of your reading other people's mind as well as the divine eyes. Okay, and then the end. So is that and then at the end, then he will cut out all this mental problem basically. Then he becomes the perfect person, and then he ends his life. Those called not end his his birth is end, the holy life fulfilled, the task done. There is nothing further for him to do anymore in this world. Yeah, like Arahant. Yeah. So he said that this is too, great king, is a fruit. This is also not just mentioned because, so as you're a king, if you see a recluse, you still respect him. But it's not. He said, this is too, great king, is a fruit of the recluse life. So visible here now. So, and then he say, this one is more excellent than the previous one and more sublime. So and then of course then the King Ajatasattu really delighted, and then and then he asked for giving him the tribute, the refuge, and he would say from now onward I will take the refuge. So. Wow. And then, but then the king say, "No, I'm leaving." So and he leave. So like that. According to the commentary, actually, so he should be, if it not because he was in the past he did something wrong with killing his father, in order to get his kingship or so forth, he would have become the first fruit, means Sotapanna.
Right.
But just because he committed that big crime in the past, I mean, not mean past, I mean that, during his life, that time in the past, so that's why he didn't. But at least he was still, having, in the later understanding, you could say, he started to have the good seed in him, that one day he become enlightenment, Yes. That, but he could at that time actually, if it not because he committed that, he could have just become the Sotapanna, like that. All right, so now, I'm happy that we can finish this now. So, I mean, take it this like this, at least now, before we have a further discuss about the faith, because here in the next chapter we're going to talk about the faith, what does a faith mean, the good conduct mean, and so forth. And then there's a little argument about the calm meditation. I'm going to give you some paper to read later also. So, and that will be really interesting discussion. But I mean, what I want to say is, what I want to try to say is very important. When you at least you have a little, basic structure of what actually one of the early Buddhist texts, mention about the Buddha, how they address to the King Ajatasattu, okay, and this how it's kind of like it's very clear already somehow that what's the step of practices, So, okay, I guess you have question. What?
All the things that happen like after the insight knowledge, do they happen in the order this was laid
Usually,
out?
yes. Usually. I don't mean that it has to be.
The mind, body.
No, mind, body is a really.
The first one after insight knowledge.
Yeah, I know, but I say usually is. I guess that you best to ask the Buddha. And because I guess the mind body one is, it's also, to my understanding, is also have to do what does it mean by the mind body. Does it simply say you might have an experience to see your body can be out? It's not out. It means your body you can make another body as you see that. I think this is okay, not that difficult. But the difficult is to say that if the mind body, usually in general understanding, even commentary way of understanding, if we take that commentary way of understanding, mean the mind body means that you really can project another body, that people see another body. That's really difficult. That will be more difficult.
That's the other problem.
Because the other one is you could understand mean, so you could actually kind of like you are sitting, but your awareness is so good that you're able actually to pull your body up and look at your another body. That is not really, depending how you explain that. So, but in general, I want to say, this is just my explanation, but in general, in commentary or in tradition, they don't explain my way. They explain it the way mean. My body refer to you really have another physical body that people can see.
Does that other physical body also have thoughts?
Yeah.
Five aggregates. It's like you just created a completely separate person.
But that's when I used the word just now. Didn't you hear me saying that? I did say that, maybe he want to impress the Ajatasattu. This is my version. I don't mean you take it completely, just want to say, yeah. But, okay. All right, don't worry, because this is a path, a lot of discussion going on in the future, okay? And we see you next week. We still have class next week, right? So, okay. And also I would suggest you, if you have questions, sometimes you can send earlier to me. So, and then it might be much easier. But certainly, I hope that you ask a question, try to, based on our chapter first, what we are discussing about. Okay, do the transfer in marriage. We need to end of class today.
May our understanding and rejoice from learning the suttas and the Buddhist teachings lead us to the final Nibbana.
Sadhu, 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 sadhu. Okay. Okay, thank you for all coming for the class.